In the words of Donald Trump, it could be huge. Certainly the telecommunications sector is one of the fastest growing industries in Africa, let alone South Africa. This is the Moneymakers. I'm Bruce Whitfield and I'm joined by the former MTN South Africa Chief Executive to talk about why he's investing millions into buying nearly 7% in listed telecommunications company Yuuge Group. Zunaid Bulbulia is my guest. He's a non-executive director at the Yuuge Group. He's also a visiting professor at Wits Business School. What pays better? Non-exec fees, for which you now have to charge VAT. I don't know if you saw the SARS announcement.
I did indeed.
You have to now charge VAT because it's no longer a service, it's a job, or it's no longer a job, it's a service.
Indeed.
Or going into telecommunications, competing with the big dogs.
They both are embarrassingly low, Bruce. very, very low, unfortunately.
Why, after years? I mean, you're one of the founders of MTN.
I was.
You spent, what, 20 years there?
22 years.
22 years. I mean, surely you can give up working?
Not quite. I've got quite a few kids that I've managed to accumulate along the way, and I need to put them through university and all these other things. So a bit of work left, I think, still left in me.
Then why go into the alt-X space? Because Yuuge, but despite its name, isn't the monster of an MTN.
No, not at all. I think there's an opportunity here to grow something, pardon the pun, huge. And that's why we took it from alt-X on the 1st of March of last year, and we've put it on the main board. And if you look at the small caps, we've taken the share price in that time from 4.50 to almost 8 Rand. So there's a massive opportunity because we're playing in a space which is not well traversed.
Now, this telecommunications space, for those of us who are uninitiated, we pick up a telephone, we make a phone call, we might surf the internet on our phones, we might do some e-commerce on our phones, we put them to sleep, we don't really appreciate what's happening in the background of that. Where are you playing in, I hate the term, but that value chain? So
Yuuge is at the moment, the core business is a fixed line lookalike to Telkom.
A fixed line lookalike in the mobile space to Telkom.
Well, so what we do is, rather than use copper as the last mile, which Telkom traditionally do, we use GSM. So Telkom may take 6 weeks after you've initiated a call to them to provide connectivity. We take 1 day because we install a router into the back of your PABX, we insert a GSM SIM card into the back of that, and hey presto, you've got service immediately.
Is that what? But that's wireless. I mean, that is.
It is wireless.
That's wireless connectivity.
Correct.
That is the future then of telecommunications
100%.
in the way in which South Africa, though, we tend to rely still very heavily on Telkom. I know they see attrition of like a million accounts a year, but still they are a dominant force. They've got 9 or 10 million households and businesses still connected.
They've got about, the number's down to about 3 million. So the number's quite low at the moment. But we are growing at about 10, 12,000 a year. Still quite subscale, but what we're doing at the moment, and part of the reason why we've gone onto the main board, is to raise capital to be able to mainstream the solution that we've got.
So who is your competitor then? I mean, I look at people who are trying to be rivals to Telkom, NeoTel, and it's been pretty successful in the corporate market, for example. You've got the cell phone providers who, if they got their act together, and you seem pretty confident that they won't, could eat you for breakfast.
The only competitors we really have are the guys who provide the same telephony service, but using voice over IP. So the likes of Vox and these guys who provide that connectivity, that last mile connectivity, but using the internet, we provide it via GSM. And because we do GSM, our service is far more stable because voice over the internet is notoriously unstable.
It's very tinny, and it's and you sort of sound like you're in a wind tunnel.
Well, and if somebody in your ecosystem, in your telco ecosystem, is downloading Debbie Does Investment somewhere in the background, you've got a massive problem because it contends for the same voice packet and you're unable to actually make and complete a call.
Is the future in voice?
Bruce, the future is not over in voice. I think certainly in the SME space, we think that there's massive amount of growth to take place on the voice side. But just to hedge our bets, we're buying a Fintech company. So at the moment, we are in the process of buying a Fintech company and buying a data company so that we've got a more diversified basis of providing services into the SME space.
I mean, and this is important. When you go into small companies now, it's brilliant. You no longer necessarily see the FNB card machine anymore because those blooming things are expensive.
Indeed.
They're guys plugging devices into their cell phones and using slightly more clunky technology, but they're linking it to iPads and they're making a plan.
Indeed.
In order to reduce operating costs. And that's that same market that you're plugging into.
Exactly the same market. We're buying a company called ConnectNet. and they provide the connectivity for the banks to be able to authenticate the credit card transaction at the point of sale back into the bank systems. And it works an absolute treat, because they've got so much of security. It's taken them years to develop that technology. And we have now bought that company so that we've got a fintech pillar of business alongside the voice, and to boot, we've now got a data business as well.
So, I mean, you integrate that then into a single service, and who's your market then for that?
Our market are the small business enterprise people.
So is it a guy on a spaza shop, or is it a guy who sits on a market on a Saturday, or is it somebody a bit more formal than that?
It's a guy who owns a Nando's on the street corner, or a firm of 5 lawyers who've got a business together. It's your typical SME business of about between 5 and 10 telephone lines that they need in their business.
So, I mean, this is the growth sector. I mean, we were chatting to Gideon Novik the other day about the sort of investments that he's making with 20 of his mates via Lucid Ventures, precisely into that segment.
Well, the reason why it's a market that's still growing, Bruce, is because the big networks, dare I say, don't get it right with SME. They are superb at consumer.
You sound a bit like Alan Knott Craig did when he left Vodacom, went into retirement and couldn't help himself and went into Cell C.
If I do, I apologize for that. But the big networks are superb at consumer because they are fantastic at scale business.
Yeah.
And they are brilliant at corporate business because they've got this massive sales force. But there's this gap in between where they have no idea how to service those customers.
That's partly your fault though, isn't it?
It is my fault, and the reality is that in order to be able to do that, you need to be far more agile. Big networks are notoriously clumsy at being agile.
Yeah. So when you look at the huge opportunity, the opportunity within huge, which you say is big, that mobility, that agility that exists within that business, you're growing at 10 or 12,000 new connections a year. That's not particularly rapid. How are you going to elevate that?
Okay, you're very polite. That's pedestrian, to be frank.
Well, I was going to be more rude than that.
No, thank you. Thanks for sparing my feelings. I mean, the main reason why we're not growing at the moment is capital.
Yeah.
And that's why we are on the exchange now. So to raise the capital in order to be able to drive the process of creating mainstream adoption of the technology. And the intention is to go above the line and to market the product, because we've not been doing
but
that.
I mean, I haven't seen it advertised anywhere.
And you wouldn't have.
No.
And you wouldn't have. We don't have any stores, so you're not going to find any huge corner cafes or any huge salespeople. We sell through resellers, and PABX salesmen are the best salesmen in the world. They can sell you ice in winter. Absolutely the best salespeople in the world. And because we incentivize them so well, they sell superbly for us. And the intention is to widen that distribution base far bigger as compared to what we have now.
Okay, so it's basically guys who are cold calling all the time saying we can reduce your telephone costs.
They're pretty close, absolutely.
Yeah, but then it comes down to what's the brand behind it and whether or not the consumer will have the faith. Fine, you can compete on price, but can you compete on service? And that's where a brand presence is pivotal.
I think, so certainly we need a brand plan, if that makes any sense, and there's a need for us to stop thinking like a small company thinks. And that's part of the reason why I am there, is that I think I can provide that insight, having spent 22 years at MTN, as to how we bring the brand from the best kept secret to something that is in customers' faces.
I mean, you're taking a 7% stake in a listed entity.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yes, it's big.
It is big.
Did you do it cash, or have you taken on debt to do it? How much risk are you taking?
It's pretty complex. It's a pretty complex set of different variables that have come together, but it's at risk. It's at risk.
So I mean, you are making a big commitment. Are you're non-executive? Are you spending time at the office though? Are you a participant in the day-to-day running of the business?
Not in an executive role, but from the 1st of January, when my restraint expired, I've been more and more involved in the business, and that may evolve into something deeper as we go forward. Given now that I've got a stake in the business, there may be a more than tempting desire to go and become part of the growth story.
How long were you on a restraint?
A year.
Okay, and what was that like? Did it drive you mad?
It's a sterilizing experience, I can tell you, because the opportunities that come your way, you have to develop the discipline to look elsewhere, because you're not allowed to consider them. It was tough. It was very tough.
No, but I mean, a lot of people sort of see this idea of a restraint of trade for 12 months as this wonderful opportunity for sabbatical. It doesn't strike me as if you sat on your hands.
No, not at all. And the problem is the opportunities come at you, given that you're so fresh from the industry. but you having signed and having made a commitment to your previous employer that you will not use their secrets anywhere else, you stay by that and you abide by it.
Are they going to regret not giving you a 5-year restraint?
No, I think I'm going to compete in a space where they're going to be comfortable for me to be successful, I think.
Okay, that's a wonderful story, and I wish you luck with it. I really do, because
Thank you.
for those of us on the receiving end of telecommunications service, we could do with a little bit of assistance.
We'll do our best.
There we go. That's what we need. We need a little bit of agility within the telecommunications space. He is a non-executive director at Yuuge Group, also a visiting professor at Wits Business School, sharing some of the wisdom and some of the lessons that he has gained in 22 years of helping run MTN. MTN, of course, under wholly new management nowadays, with Rob Shooter coming from Vodafone in Europe to run the MTN business in South Africa. But Zunaid Bulbulia is looking to make a difference in the SME space, and there's so many people with massive corporate experience who are looking to delve into SMEs and to help that segment of the economy grow. That's what the future is going to be built on. Thank you for watching the Moneymakers this evening. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Till then, bye-bye.